You might be joining one of the big four accounting firms, or you might be hoping to join one of these firms through the graduate program. In this video, I'm going to cover what you should expect during your time on the graduate scheme. In the video, I'm going to talk about the accountancy qualifications which most of the graduates are put through, talk about some of the training that's provided for the job specifically. I'm going to talk about the support that's available, the work-life balance, salaries, and much more. By having an idea of what you should expect during the program, you'll be much better prepared to make the most of what is a great start to your career in finance. I started on the program in 2015 by joining the M&A team, which sits in the corporate finance division. I also did my accountancy qualification during that time. Now, some firms don't put their graduates in the corporate finance division through the accountancy qualification, but I was very fortunate that my firm made me do it. I'm going to talk about some of the experiences that I had on the program, but I'm also going to share some of the experiences that my friends had who also joined the program at the same time as me. I remember back in the day, I used to go on the forums to try and find out what people's experiences were like on the Big Four programs, but there wasn't much information available. I remember I used to go on the student room forum and there was a lot of information on the application process, but there wasn't much information on what happens when you eventually do join the program. In this video, I'm going to cover exactly that topic. Looking at the program at a higher level, it's a very structured program and thousands of graduates go through it every single year. There's a very systematic approach to the program, and basically the 3 years are planned ahead for you. I've heard from friends that this defined structure isn't really guaranteed at small firms that offer graduate programs or at firms that have just recently introduced their graduate programs. The fact that thousands of graduates have gone through these programs over the previous years means that the firms are very experienced in knowing what support is required to make sure that the graduates are successful on the program. The accountancy qualification is a very large part of the program just because of the time that you spend on it. I also remember that I was told in no uncertain terms that it's probably the most important element of the program as well. And the reason for this is that you only get a certain amount of opportunities to pass the accountancy exams before your job is at risk. There's a bit of flexibility in the number of opportunities you get, but the guidance that I was given was if you get lower than 40% in any one of the exams, there's a risk that you get booted off the program. It's the same outcome if you get between 40 and 45% in 2 exams or more. And you might be wondering why the rules are so stringent related to the qualifications. And the reason for this is that the firm is paying a lot of money to put you through the training, and so they want to see that you're committed to the process. And this is by showing that you're willing to put in the effort required to pass the exams first time. Most of the graduates which are taken on during the program will do the accountancy qualification, and the reason for this is that most of them are in the audit and the tax departments. The graduates in the consulting and the transactions team are less likely to do the accountancy qualification, but it really depends on which team they sit under. For example, the graduates in the corporate restructuring and the due diligence team will definitely do the accountancy qualification. There are 3 different bodies which offer these accountancy qualifications to the Big Four graduates, and the syllabus covered by these 3 different bodies is pretty much the same. Those who've studied accounting or accounting and finance at university receive exemptions from some of the exams. I remember my qualification had 11 different exams, and those people that studied those 2 subjects received 6 exemptions from those exams. These 6 exams were at the earlier stages of the qualification, and most of the material was already covered in those subjects at university. Those people who didn't do those 2 subjects had to do all 6 of the exams so that they could get up to speed with those individuals with the accounting background. I did economics at university with some finance modules thrown in there, but I didn't get any exemptions from the exams. The fact that I was relatively comfortable with maths really helped a lot though. Those individuals that studied a subject which didn't have a numerical element to it, for example studying law, probably had the biggest mountain to climb according to me. Saying that though, naturally if they put in the time and the effort that was required, that didn't hold back people either. On the graduate scheme, you attend classes where you're taught the syllabus for the accountancy qualification, and these classes are normally held at your local university or in some hotel meeting room somewhere. These classes are full-day affairs, so you don't get into the office during those days. They're normally done in blocks of 2 to 4 weeks, so you get that time away from the office. If you're attending the classes in person, it might just be you and the other graduates from the same firm, but it also might be the case that the other graduates from the other accountancy firms are also at your classes. Normally what happens in these cases is that you just sit with your friends from the same firm, but I encourage you to go and network with these individuals from the other firms because you never know what opportunities that could lead to. I remember I was sent to my accountancy classes 1 week after I joined the program, and we were definitely thrown in the deep end. There's a lot of material to cover in a very short time frame, and they moved on to new topics at a very fast rate which I didn't have an experience of. And the reason for this is that there's just so much material that there isn't time to just hang around on one topic. Given the large amount of topics which are covered in these classes, you go through the details incredibly quickly, so sometimes it's challenging to understand every single aspect of a particular topic. It's only after you review the notes of a particular topic you get to understand the concepts completely. After the 2 to 4 weeks of classroom teaching is done, you should expect to spend some time in the evenings after work studying by yourself. I'm not going to lie, it can be a bit overwhelming to see the amount of material that's covered in such a short period of time. Add on top of this the pressure to pass your exams first time so that your position on the graduate program is secure. The entire situation can be a bit stressful. But saying that, there's plenty of support from the tutors and the firm itself. Overall, if you put in the time and the effort that's required and make the sacrifices needed, it's definitely possible to pass the exams first time. And the reward of qualifying itself is well worth it because of the skills that you pick up along the way and the opportunities that it opens up for the future. If you want to learn more about exit opportunities available for Big Four employees, I'll leave a video on the end screen so you can watch that one after this one ends. Aside from the accountancy qualification, there's plenty of training provided for your role specifically for the day-to-day responsibilities. The training courses cover the technical elements of your role and they happen across all 3 years of the program. Some of the training courses are held off-site at some hotel in the countryside somewhere, but some firms also have their own specialized premises where they offer these training courses. If the training is off-site, you'll stay in the hotel for the 2 to 5 days that these courses normally run for. You'll attend these courses with your peers on the graduate program, and this is a great time for you to network and socialize with them. These connections that you make during the training courses are really important because down the line, as you face challenges on the work itself or during your accountancy qualification, you can help each other to solve them. The tutors on these courses are senior employees of the firm, and this is really useful because they've been in your shoes and so they can tailor the delivery of the material accordingly. Given that I'm in corporate finance, the training courses that I went to revolved around topics such as negotiations, deal management, valuations, etc. I really enjoyed these training courses because I got the opportunity to go off-site many a times, and there was also a good bunch of folk around who I enjoyed a drink with in the evening after the training was over during the day. By the way, if you found this video useful, please remember to hit the like button so that the algorithm pushes this video and more people see it. Another aspect of the program which is definitely the most fun is the social element. Most of the graduates will be in the same position as you. They would have just finished university and will have just joined the graduate program. They'll be going to the challenging accountancy qualification as well, and given the commonalities, you're likely to be socializing outside of work as well. Naturally, there's some people with young families and other commitments to go to, but there's so many people on the graduate program that you're more than likely to find people willing to go for a drink or two. Aside from socializing with the graduates on the program, you'll also go for drinks and dinners with other colleagues from your firm. If you're in one of the bigger offices, such as in London, these opportunities are open to you almost every week. Clearly, there's no expectation for you to get involved in this every single week, but I would recommend going to these occasions now and again because there's a great opportunity to network internally. When you go out, you'll not only speak to individuals from your own team, but you'll also get to interact with individuals from the wider firm. It's always a good idea to build these relationships up as early as possible because you never know what opportunities they could lead to down the line. As I've mentioned before, there have been thousands of people who've gone through these programs over the previous years, and so the firms are incredibly aware of what support is required. From the first day of your program, you're assigned a mentor who's 2 or 3 years ahead of you in terms of their own careers, and they're there to answer any questions that you might have and provide guidance as required. Your mentor might sit in your team or they might not, but their responsibility is to ensure that you settle into your role well. You'll catch up with them on a regular basis, and given the fact that they've gone through the program very recently, they'll be able to guide you as to what to expect next so that you're better prepared. Having such a mentor is really useful because you can ask any question that you want, and you don't need to be worried about asking basic questions to senior colleagues. You're also assigned with a senior mentor who's normally a manager or above, and they're responsible for your personal welfare and for your career progression. These senior mentors stay with you across your entire time at the Big Four, and they're incredibly important because they support you in many ways, including during promotion cycles. My senior mentor sets out expectations for me at the beginning of every quarter, and we discuss goals that I can go on to achieve during those 3 months. It's a good way to stay accountable and make sure that I'm progressing in my career. Overall, with both of the mentors available to you, you never feel as if you're going through the program unsupported. Aside from all this formal support, you can also get guidance from the members of your own team because you've got to remember that they've also been through the program most likely in the past as well. Most people are willing to share what worked for them and what didn't when it came to the accountancy qualification and the day-to-day responsibilities of the role. Even most of the partners are willing to provide guidance if asked for. By having to do the accountancy qualification, which is very full on, alongside working a full-time job, this does put a strain on the work-life balance. How people define work-life balance is very subjective, and some people are able to achieve the balance that they require, which is great. But there's no denying that you'll have to spend plenty of personal time studying from the first year if you haven't studied accounting at university. And for those that did study the subject, the hard work begins from the second year. There'll be plenty of evenings and weekends spent studying for these accountancy exams, and that's just the reality of the graduate program. The exams aren't easy at all, and anyone that passes has put in the many hours required to pass these exams. I'll actually make a different video covering my experience doing these accountancy exams, and I'll share with you some of the tips that I picked up along the way. When you get into the office, the work itself will be challenging because everything will be new to you and you'll need to pick up different methods to complete the tasks that are assigned to you. Naturally, you'll be slow at the beginning, but you'll pick up the pace as you learn how things work. During busy periods is obviously where the most strain on work-life balance happens. Busy season for auditors is between January and March and April time, while the corporate tax department is busy during the end of the calendar year. In consulting and transactions, there isn't really a defined busy period because it all depends on the project workload. Across all the different departments, late nights are inevitable during busy periods, and everyone has to chip in with the effort. I'll make a different video about that topic because it's such an important subject. Now finally covering salaries at the Big Four accounting firms on the graduate program. The entry-level salary for graduates does vary according to which department you join and the geography as well. As a guide, the salaries in London are between £25,000 and £29,000 per year, and outside London you're looking at between £21,000 and £24,000 per year. The graduate starting salaries in consulting and transactions are generally higher than in audit and tax, and it also depends on which sub-department you fall under. I hope you found that a useful guide for what the salaries you can expect on the graduate program are. I really hope you found this video useful, and if you want to learn more about the exit opportunities available for Big Four employees, click on the video on your screen right now.